tongue. There's a sarcasm waiting for you. I'm willing to trade my soul for a bit of your charm. There's no way I'll fade into oblivion, 'cause I'll keep shining over you all. And if your wings entwining, you better face the fall, keep trying again. Oh yeah, keep trying again. There's mud on the floor, desperate people trying to get through the door, although the room's already crowded. But I'll keep shining over you all, and with your wings entwining, you better face the fall, keep trying again. Oh yeah, keep trying again. Zeros, everybody's trying to be heroes, when all they have to say to be okay is I don't know. And keep trying again. I'll keep shining over you all, with your wings entwining. You better face the fall. Zero, everybody's trying to be heroes, when all they have to say to be okay is I don't know. Are you okay? I'm not that sure.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome here as we get set for tonight's fourth race of the fifth season of the UpperEdge Racing Baadteshop Superspeedway series from the high banks of the 3-mile iRacing Superspeedway. Second time we've been to this venue this season. A little bit of an audible call tonight. We were originally supposed to be at the 1.5-mile Atlanta Motor Speedway, but that's going to be swapping scheduling dates here with iRacing Superspeedway. iRacing Superspeedway race number 4. Atlanta will move to race number 7. We've already seen the drivers on track here at this event a few weeks ago, race number 2. And we'll see what they're going to do with another race under their belts. That was Daytona last week. We unfortunately weren't able to bring you coverage of it, but we'll recap what went down. 3 races under these drivers' belts. 3 different drivers have gone to victory lane. A lot of names up there at the top of the point standings. I'm Seth Cole, soon to be joined by driver commentator tonight, Matthew Rodriguez, going to be behind the wheel, but also bringing the sights and sounds of what's taking place all around him during the course of tonight's 55-lap event. As mentioned, 5 different drivers going to victory lane, but it's been all about Team Trap House here in the last couple of races. We saw the last time we were here at iRacing Superspeedway, Blake Trawick went to victory lane, and most recently last week at Daytona, his teammate Dylan Poteet going to victory lane. We'll see if anybody's going to be able to stop the tear that team has been on. I think we've got contact with Matt Rod down there behind the wheel, that number 57. Matt, I mean, obviously here tonight, gonna be interesting. We've had you do this before in the past in this series, but at iRacing Superspeedway, we know these cars can go 5 wide. We saw it about 3 weeks ago. What's the nerves feel like before you even taking the green?
I swear I get worse every time I do this, but uh, it's a different kind of track tonight. There's a different track conditions. It's a lot hotter of track, and I think there's going to be a lot more strategic kind of planning here. Uh, Realistically, track temp's about 114. These cars are overheating in about 2 laps of aggressive pushing on the bottom lane. So I assume maybe a lap and a half on the top lane. And when it starts blinking red, you have to jump out then and there, or you're going to risk just blowing the whole thing to smithereens.
Now, with that being said, and coupling with what I had mentioned earlier about the fact that this race ended up kind of swapping dates with Atlanta being moved a little bit further on the schedule after the Dega duels next week, this was going to be about, 3 weeks from now, the second time that we come to this racetrack, and of course, this is where the championships decided. So, since it's only about 3 weeks removed from the first time we were here, do we see a little bit more settled in race? Drivers kind of into a little bit more longer green flag runs, not as aggressive as we saw them back in race two?
Man, I wish. I think I burned a faster pair on like lap 5 last time, so hopefully it's a little bit more tame. We have a little bit more of a green flag running here. Typically, our iRacing Superspeedway has been one of our heavier caution tracks, just because it almost beckons you to, hey, man, you could fit the cars 5 wide if you tried, but you shouldn't. But hey, I could put a car there, so I mean, I'm gonna shove it in.
I need to mention it as well. Congratulations last week on your first top five, and I can't remember how long
Oh,
here in this
thanks.
series. You
Yeah.
jumped up 9 spots in standings as well. I mean,
How long is the winless streak going on? Like,
oh gosh, I've lost count.
I think I last one in season 1.
I think it was season one. I think it was like the next to last race of season one or something like that. I don't
I got
remember
the win
exactly what the
revoked in
exact number is though.
I got the win revoked in season 2 because I was
I
a bad
do
person.
remember that.
I was a bad person. I'm so
It's
sorry,
got,
Sebi.
there's a one in the win column with an asterisk by it, so it's, I don't know, what do you call it? A half win, a tainted win? I don't know.
See, all the good people got here, and it just all went downhill for me.
Well, speaking of a driver that's been able to previously take a checkered flag here at this racetrack, that'd be our pole sitter, Bronson Stafford. Alongside of him is going to be the 18. Now, the 18 is normally driven by Ty Smith, but I believe we've got two drivers that are kind of filling in the sub roles here tonight. The driving duties of the 18 are currently being done by Seth Knoll, and I believe we've also got the 77 who's got a sub driver. Originally, the driver, I think, was... Looking over my notes here real quickly, I believe it was Curtis Granger, and Will Reichard is actually doing the sub duties here tonight for that. I'm going to be getting from you information on how the sub points work, but we're ready to go green here as Bronson Stafford is going to lead you guys down that long straightaway and into turn one. Interesting to see, do you guys go double, 3, 4 wide here in this first corner?
I would like to believe everyone's going to keep it about 2 wide, probably until about turn 3 when those runs start generating. But man, it is treacherous, and I see Panko just dropping back on the high line. I think he might have a good idea because Robert Kenny's all the way down below the line.
Yeah, looks like a couple of other drivers fanning up to that way outside line against the wall, maybe dropping to the back quickly. A few drivers looking like they want a tandem right up there next to the wall as well. One of those looked like it might have been the 76 of Jacob Holm being the pusher. I couldn't tell who the push E was. That's the 23 actually up there that is making that move. Doesn't look like they're making any headway though. Ooh, and Holm might have actually brushed the wall there off of 4.
The big thing that you'll see is some of these guys, again, like Bronson, Kenny, they're going to start dropping back to the back of the pack. And what they're doing is that's not just, hey, I want to lie and wait and I just kind of bide my time. That is, hey, I want to go out and get the fastest lap because I want those bonus points. So what they're going to do is they're going to go all the way back. They're going to start running all the way up, maybe a second off. Then you get draft, we're going to run all the way down. It's going to be, I think we set the track record here last time.
Yeah, only 3 races in, and we're already starting to see how those bonus points have come into play. Already, as you look at the point standings, as far as playoff points, or not playoff points, but bonus points accumulated, Robert Kenny has 29, Chad Winstead has 24, points leader Dylan Poteet, and 5th in the point standings Connor Holden with 16 apiece. I talk about it all season long, every season, the fact that with the unorthodox point system that this series has, those bonus points are handed out for a lot of different reasons, a lot of different ways to earn them, and they accumulate very quickly.
I actually got a really fun story about JP3's car. I got a question last week of like, why is JP3's car look like it's held together by duct tape? Apparently he is modifying his car each time because after each race, he wants to be the same car if it runs the entire season. So he's going to start patching it together. There's going to be scratches and dents all over it. Unfortunately, when he hits the catch punch one of these weeks, he's going to be a little bit suspicious of what pops out, but we're going to find out.
I was going to say, what happens when the roof hatch ends up getting ripped off of that car?
Duct tape.
Is it gonna be, can duct tape do it? I think you need flex tape for that.
Oh, no, not again.
Gonna have to get a secondary sponsor from that company if that is the case. Got some drivers valley for the lead up here. Carl Faust out in front. Looks like now the 18 of Seth Knoll trying to make a challenge there to the outside line. You talked about the track conditions coming in a lot hotter. We know that this is a particular racetrack where drivers have a lot of difficulty lining up the bumpers through the corner because of that progressive banking. Very abrupt, very uphill banking from the bottom of the racetrack all the way up to that wall. I gotta think with the hotter conditions as well, it's gonna be a lot slicker. That might be why we saw a couple of drivers that were way up the track there in the early going actually overstep the cushion and brush the wall off of 4.
I think it's deceptive. You see this track, you think, man, it's so wide. And then you get here in a car and it's like, man, this isn't as wide as I thought.
Pretty wide up here at the front. The says it all, I think.
There's nothing like almost hitting one of your own team cars.
No, not at all. If
kind
it's
of
a team car, you hit them. If it's an enemy car, you hit them harder. That's the rule of Superspeedway racing.
I think I've almost hit like 3 of my own team cars here.
Looking ahead here from your number 51. See a little
What
bit
is
of.
Semi doing?
I was gonna say, what's that little back and forth going on there? Is this IndyCar? We breaking the draft here down the front
It's all
stretch?
fun and games till he hits the apron and shoots up to the wall.
It's all fun and games, so those Goodyears can't find any grip whatsoever. As
Some
at the
odd
front,
years.
you got Seth Knoll up there in the 18 car. Now, and I'll explain here while we've got this little bit of a calm space that you're in right now. What does the sub points? Do you get all of the points that the sub driver gives you? Do you get like a discounted amount of points depending on where they finish for you? How does that work?
That's correct. So the sub points work in this way. It's pretty much, think of like Ty Smith's situation. He went ahead and said, hey, I'm not going to be here this race. Or actually, I believe I was Holden, if I'm correct on the 18, or...
The 18, yeah, Ty Smith.
Yeah, Ty. So Ty ended up saying, like, hey, I'm not going to be here. He elected Seth Noel to come in and step in as a sub driver. So he is collecting points. Seth is effectively earning 0 points out of this race. It'll be like he never even started. If he wins the race, congratulations. He'll get the trophy. He'll get the honors. But the win would technically be credited to Ty in the situation. So it's almost like Ty is running the race just through the body of Seth.
And from what I remember as well from the rule book, they are only allowed 2 subs during the course of the season.
That's correct, and it's a bold strategy here because I know I believe there's 1 or 2 drivers that are burning it next week at the Dega Double, and like I said, that's 2 on 1 go. It's a huge risk versus reward there because again, you're putting your fate in the hands of someone else, and it's just on the outside.
Oh! That's the 23 of Cole DeRoser, and oh man, we got a car up that caught some air there. I think that might have been the 33 of Dustin Logston.
Yeah, no, it was him. I can guarantee you.
Jacob Halm there. Robert Kenny you can see back there as well. The 83 of Sebastian Miller. Oh, well, there you are, front and center. Looks like that thing's seen better days.
Holy.
Well, we know Mike's Harder Lemonade is in a can. I think that can's a little crunched, ready for the recycling bin.
You know, at least I made it to lap 7 this time before I had to burn to fast repair, so that's nice.
Take a look and see what happened, because I believe it actually was contact between 2 drivers that were working together earlier on in this race, Cole DeRoser and Jacob Halm, and I think the 2 of them are going to get together. I don't know if I can't remember when it was happening live if they were battling for position or if they were actually working together and just leaned on each other. Yeah, there you see right there. Hard to tell from that angle if one comes down and one comes up, but man, that 33 catches a lot of air there. Does Dustin Longston. Had a great run at Daytona last week. I mean, just based off of the unorthodox point standings, he has only made 1 start with a bunch of drivers making 2 and 3 starts around him, and he's sitting 14th in the point standings right now.
And, you know, Dustin really came out of the blue. I mean, remember, he popped into the series. I asked Mike, where'd you find this guy? And he's like, well, I ran Xbox with him a few years back. And he said he was interested. And I was like, oh, really? So it's one of those, you find diamonds in the rough that you just don't expect.
How about this move by Bronson Stafford? Look at those hands there as he goes left to right, avoids the flying 33 of Longston, is able to keep his car in one piece. It almost looked like from that onboard, he didn't do a whole heck of a lot of lifting, and oh, well, now I know why you knew that the 33 caught air, 'cause with our onboard
Oh,
view.
don't worry.
Yeah,
I was
right,
aware.
right front and center, perfectly placed to know if that car actually did catch air or not and left the racing surface. So, what's the diagnosis? Is that fast repair worthy? You think you're
That
gonna just
was fast repair worthy. So really
ah
the big thing you have to worry about in these cars, and that's the main thing that I check, is these cars are a lot more of a tank than the Xfinity cars that we were running the previous season. And what I really want to make sure, because I can repair body damage, if aero's kind of an issue, I can figure it out. But if my RPM is all the way down below 1900, if it's around 18, there's no way I'm going to be able to keep up with the draft. If I have maybe a 1950 or 1980 RPM, I could probably still keep up with the pack. I'm just not going to be up to speed like the rest of the guys.
saw that last onboard there with Matt Muir, and you saw ahead of him Bronson Stafford shoot through the gap. Matt Muir did a good job of getting through also with looked like no contact at all. Of course, Matt Muir, former winner on the season opener at Talladega, finished 11th the last time we were here at iRacing Superspeedway, and you got to think there's about another 2 or 3 drivers with the hits we saw there. Are going to probably have to take one of their 2 faster pairs in the early going. That's one of the things that's a big difference between this racetrack and really all of the other 3 super speedways. We can also throw Atlanta into the mix. The fact that none of those racetracks have a wall separating pit road from the racetrack. They've got that infield grass through the trioval, the front straightaway, depending on which track you're talking about. Not a whole lot of space. It's kind of like a funnel here when they wreck on the front stretch.
Yeah, and it's, again, you see these 6 lanes, you say, oh yeah, I got plenty of room to go. And then you suddenly, that window starts closing.
A lot of moving pieces. It's like when a grenade goes off, trying to avoid a piece of shrapnel.
That's how I want my race car to be described, as a grenade.
Most of the time when a race car is considered a grenade, it's when the engine goes south, so I don't know if that's exactly something you want. Well, for now, we can see the sponsorship on the JP3 Gaming Chevrolet. If he adds more duct tape onto that car, we may end up just seeing a completely silver car, but for the moment, we can see the sponsorship on his Chevrolet, and he's chosen the inside line on the choose here. He'll be alongside of Dylan Poteet, our winner from last time out at Daytona. Of course, as mentioned, due to scheduling conflicts, we weren't able to bring you the broadcast of that race, but Poteet picking up his first win on the season, subsequently as well, taking over the points lead, 27 points up on Andrew Siegel, and 31 points over Chad Winstead. And it kind of feels like Poteet's getting back to his season 4 ways. Poteet was a multi-time winner last year, was one of the prime contenders for the championship, and after he ended up getting that good run the last time we were here, about 3 weeks ago at iRacing Superspeedway, he seems to have kind of found his stride again.
Yeah, it's one of those things where Poteet kind of got his groove back, but one of the big things that kind of rang home as a very, and this really comes bad from a competitor standpoint, unless I want an advantage, but confidence. Him keeping his confidence up and keeping his head in the game long term, that is going to be the big question. He can pull off flashy results. He's there at the end. He can survive, but can he keep it up?
Poteet and that Dale Jarrett throwback. The USPS, not UPS. Poteet, a worker for the United States Postal Service, going to get us to the line after a good push from the 6 of Chad Winstead. And both of those throwbacks, Dale and Mark, I guess you could say, they're going to jump down to the inside line in front of John Poole III. Top side there falling to the back, going to be the 97 of Mike Tellier. And he'll fall in, looks like, behind Jacob Holm. Charge there on the top side, Bronson Stafford and Shane Thierry. And this is going to be an interesting duo to watch, because I remember the last time we were here at iRacing Superspeedway, I kept saying keep an eye on those two, because they did it the last time we were here. They've done it in the past at this racetrack in previous seasons. They love that falling to the back and then tandeming to the front. But how much of that can they do based off of what you talked about before we went green with the fact Oh, we got one spin into the pits.
Saved it though.
Doesn't
The
look like
biggest-
caution's gonna fly. That is the 46, I believe, that spun.
The scariest thing that really makes Stafford and Therian just really such a potent combo is the fact that they've known each other forever, and this is not the first time they've raced this car. They raced this car a lot in actually what was known as the UER Sportsman Series back in the really 2016. Like, they are no strangers to this car. They know how it works. They know its exploits. They know its in and outs. So realistically, if there's someone to be afraid of, it's those two.
And they're trying to make it work up there. Also add Matt Muir and yourself up there. Looks like a Toyota party in that third lane.
We're scary for a different reason.
Oh, okay. Just to confirm, as you saw there, it was the 46 of Brandon Lambert that ended up getting spun down to pit road, was able to save it. Didn't look like he hit anything. Lambert coming into this race currently down in the I believe 29th position in the point standings. In the two previous starts, he's made a best finish of 17th, and that was last week at Daytona. Another thing that I need to kind of bring up here for a lot of people that are watching at home and are wondering, well, he's made two previous starts, and I mentioned about the fact that Dustin Longston has only made one start on the season. How is he running up inside of the top 15 in points, and another driver that's made multiple starts is outside of the top 20? Well, for people that don't know, the points payout, not counting any bonus points, you get from 75 points to 10 points payout from first down through 10th, but then 11th down through 20th get 5 points, and anybody else that finishes outside the top 20 gets 1 point. So it is a huge points gap of what is paid out if you do not deliver on a solid top 10 finish.
And, just kind of looking at a few guys here that, have had a rocky up and down seasons. I almost see Robert Panko get turned. We saw
that there too with that onboard with Logston there.
He was my next topic of discussion, where Panko has had the fast cars and he's had the good runs, but just has never been able to really close out the deal because, hey, these last lap incidents, they just come out of nowhere. Same thing for Jacob Halm, where Jacob Halm is a fast guy. I mean, he just cannot catch a break when it comes to these accidents.
Panko, he was the pole sitter for the season opener at Talladega. Always seems to have good qualifying speed and usually has himself up inside the top 5, top 10 most of the day. Looks like he's kind of adapting a little bit more of a laid-back strategy here this evening, maybe trying to keep himself out of trouble, stay around for the end, maybe kind of adjusting his strategy based off what's happened to him in the first three races of the season.
Look at Bronson and Shane, my goodness.
And up at the front, how about this? Blake Trawick has gotten himself up here into the conversation. The driver that took the checkered flag the last time we were here at iRacing Superspeedway for his first career win in the series.
And if you're wondering what Bronson and Shane were just doing, Bronson just set the fastest lap.
And of course, that pays out. That pays out points. Robert Kenny, I believe, ended up getting the fastest lap bonus point from last week at Daytona. Didn't translate into a great finish for him. I believe he ended up finishing last, 26th in that event, but was able to garner the 5 bonus points from fastest lap set. Now, for those that are looking at our current scoring pylon and then looking at the front of the field, Blake Trawick and the very familiar Cowmobile, or the Moomobile, I guess is what he calls it, it's not showing up here tonight. That number 25 SPI Designs car that you see is Blake Trawick, but unfortunately not the livery we're accustomed to seeing. So correlate that with the 56, and you should be good to go. As Chad Winstead coming down about 3 stories of banking, almost into the side of Trawick, as I think he tried to clear down along with John Poole III.
I heard Poteet bike up about that. He was not at all pleased, and I've been the recipient of that one before.
Here you see the 77. How about Reichardt up here having a good run? Mentioned he's in a fill-in capacity. And I think somebody's... Is Bronson just having some fun there? Is he just creating some smoke by brushing the wall, or what's going on there? A little puff off the right rear quarter panel for the 61.
Realistically, the guy who has my eye here at the moment has to be Seth Noel. He has been dicing through the field almost effortlessly, all the way from the back, all the way to the front, goes all the way back. And it's not unheard of to hear a sub-driver take a victory. We had Carl Faust, I think, subbing in for Connor Holden last season. He took the checkered flag at Daytona, even managed to get really Colton into the conversation for the Final Four.
I do remember that. Absolutely did a great job in that fill-in capacity. And of course now, with running full-time in the number 12 here this season, because of what he was able to do last season, really made it a kind of a question mark of what he was going to be able to do in regards to running for the championship. So far, he's been doing pretty well as he currently sits in, I believe, well, actually, no, he's currently in the 25th position in points. I thought he was running a lot better than that, but season's still early, and of course, you mentioned it as well. Next week's going to be a doozy because, we've ended up having these rather lengthy races for these drivers, 55 laps here at iRacing Superspeedway, somewhere between the 50 to 70 lap mark at Talladega or Daytona. But next week, 2 races in the course of the night, some shootouts, some duels, some sprints at Talladega. So it's not a kind of settle in and wait to see what happens. It's literally a run it and gun it from the green flag to the checkered flag in those 2 duels.
And that's the idea. And oh, Mike Taylor and Will Reichert, they maybe had some disagreements on space. I kind of wanted to branch into this before he lost the lead, but Poteet is no slouch when it comes to iRacing Superspeedway. I mean, he was in the shootout last season with Ryan Potter. I mean, Poteet did all he could to try and secure that championship, but just Potter was a little bit too consistent, and hey, he was there at the end. He managed the race.
On board with Poteet, look at the movement there. Mike Teller going to shoot the gap between Bronson Stafford and Will Reichert. Robert Kenny. Oh, contact! There's Reichert, and he's up into the wall hard. Down the track comes Chad Winstead, and that's going to get Carl Faust. Got another car that was flipping there as well down the banking. Looks like John Poole the third. Oh, there's the 50. There, yep.
I'm stuck.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's not good.
Someone help a brother out. Push the 51.
Oh, there we go.
Whoa, there you go.
Oh, she hurt.
There you see smoke billowing out from underneath of Will Reichert, the first car that got out of shape. Looks like Seth Noel also got a piece of that one. We go back and take a look at what happened. We saw it on board. Looked like the 77 of Will Reichert. I don't know if he got a bump from behind or if he ended up coming down trying to block the 97. You talked about those two have had some disagreements in the past, and it just looked like the 77 trying to clear, and holy cow. Well, we got the Summer Olympics in Paris taking place pretty soon. Maybe Will Reichert would like to try out for the long jump. Or the pole vault. There you go. That's what I think he would clear the pole easily with that one. He definitely cleared the catch fence. And almost came down on top of, I believe, the 72 of Matt Muir's roof. Wild ride there for Will Reichert, one of the drivers of our rookie class. Here's an onboard with Matt Muir, and wow, close call there. 12 of Carl Faust spinning in front of him, and then you see more drivers up ahead there, all trying to avoid what had just happened.
Man, I didn't know what I got hit by. Man, Winstead got rejected off that top line.
Here's a look at it right here. Watch the 6. Bam!
Oh,
right there.
Goodness.
Right into your lap.
Well, that was a fun 18 laps.
When you say, oh, okay, the laps. I thought you were gonna say that was a fun ride, and I was gonna say when you say fun.
I mean, that's the fastest I've wrecked a car in a while.
Some big hits here in this one, and happening right up there at the front of the field. I mean, we talked already about how difficult it is to avoid a wreck on that kind of funnel on the front straightaway. How much more difficult is it when you've got the banking of the corners here at iRacing Superspeedway come into play, because you don't necessarily know whether a spinning car is going to drift up the banking or slide down towards the apron.
It's the scary part. Again, you just have to kind of guess where these cars are going to go, and unfortunately, you guess wrong more often than not.
It's like 35 of Sam Dyer getting a piece right there. Ooh, nice move there by Robert Pankow to be able to snake his way through. Like maybe a little bit of contact for the 3 of Jason Shuey. Carl Faust, as we mentioned, in the 12, taking a pretty big hit there. Here's an onboard with Jason Shuey. Ooh, just barely able to split there as the 6 of Winstead was coming back up the racing surface. All about finesse there as well, with when to mash the gas, when to burp the throttle. Try and figure out what the speed is of the car that you're approaching to the speed that you're carrying and where you're going to be by time you get up on that car. It looks like Blake Trawick's going to be the leader when we go back green. Trawick looking for his second straight victory here at this venue and looking to snap the different winners on the season at 3. Right behind him, though, Dylan Poteet, another former winner on the season, looking for back-to-back victories. We've got all 3 of our former race winners in the field here tonight, and to my knowledge, all 3 of them have been able to avoid the carnage of the previous 2 yellow flags.
We're just watching the choose code here. Poteet takes low.
And Trawick comes to pit road. Interesting.
It's a bold choice.
I would have thought that they were both going to more than likely line up together. A couple of teammates out of Trap House Racing. I would have thought they might maybe either line up nose to tail or maybe take the front row and maybe pull off the okie dokie. But with Trawick coming to pit lane, obviously a little bit of varying strategies. I think Poteet has led a lap already, but maybe he hasn't. Maybe this was a call to get the 31 a lap led bonus point. So Poteet and Stafford, they'll be the front row. Panko and Kenny will be row number 2. Looks like Sebastian Miller is going to complete the top 5. Matt Muir will line up in 6th. Then John Poole the 3rd, Shane Tyrion in row number 4. Looks like Will Reichardt's dropping to the rear of the field, so that should move, I think, Carl Faust now up to 9th. And the 33 of Dustin Longston will be the top 10 when we get back green flag racing. We're nearing the halfway point, only worked our second caution of the night so far. Still a ways to go as we take a look back from the HMR pace car. 2024 HMR Tamarin. You can see right there as well, the track temperature 114 degrees, blistering both figuratively and literally here for these Goodyears. And got to think the more circuits that we continue to turn here and the more time the sun beats down the racetrack, it could continue to creep up before we get to this checkered flag as Poteet going to bring us down here to the green. Little wheel spin maybe there for Bronson Stafford on that front row. Keeps it pointing in the right direction, and they'll sail it off into turn 1.
Yeah, I'd say Bronson definitely did not have the car under him, but I think it may have just been a little bit of assistance. I see Mike Taylor shoot all the way down to that bottom line. Here's where you're going to start seeing lines formed, and here's where really kind of pick your brain a little bit. Does manufacturer and team alliance really mean anything to you at this point, or are you just kind of riding around to see who you can find?
Yeah, that's a good question because, I mean, obviously we ended up seeing the last time we were here, we saw Blake Trawick have a teammate to help him out. We've seen in the past teammates kind of work together up until the final lap, and then it's every man for himself. But I think you're right. The fact that we've ended up having a few drivers, some big name drivers that we see up at the front most of the time have some damage in the early going here. They may be throwing up their hands, falling to the back, so that's causing drivers to have to call an audible, maybe find a new dancing partner up here until we end up getting around the 15 or 10 lap to go mark.
Man, we are only 35 laps, or 35 laps to go. And just, yeah, it is wild here. Already 3 wide. I mean, that is the perk of having iRacing Superspeedway. It's just a track where it has so many possibilities. And I mean, look at Will Reichard. Man died like 5 laps ago. He is here.
He is indeed. He ended up actually falling to the back, more than likely an EOL for the contact that brought out the most recent caution, and already charging his way back up now into the top 5 as we get around John Poole the 3rd. He's now going to make the pass on the 46. How about the 46? He ended up getting spun down pit road, lost the lead pack, did Brandon Lambert. That caution saved him, and now he's back up here, currently unofficially in the 7th position, up inside of the top 10. So a driver that really benefited from that yellow flag. Great job of saving it when he got spun off of turn 4, and new life breathed into that Toyota.
And I kind of want to keep doing some of the driver spotlights here. I mean, it's kind of sad that he's running back in like 19th at the moment, but Sam Dyer, I mean, he has been someone who has impressed this season. And I mean that in the kind of the surprising sense of like his rookie season was marred by a lot of wrecks, a lot of kind of inconsistencies, but I mean, he has been there at the end of almost every race.
Sam Dyer coming off his first top 10 on the season, 8th place last week at Daytona. Currently situated right now in the 18th position in points. 120 points out, but again, that doesn't mean a heck of a whole lot when you consider the fact that a driver heading into a season finale 70 points out still has a chance at the championship.
Will Reichert's pushing that middle line solo. He broke up the top lane, left Bronson without a partner. Mike's all kind of out, but look at him. He ended up driving his way all the way to the front, and I think that middle has a little bit more suck than we're willing to admit here.
So you talk about the fact that he made that move by himself, and when we were on board with him charging his way back up to the front, he was making a lot of those moves by himself, not with the aid of draft. What are the different things that a driver can manipulate in this package at this racetrack where they can make moves and not necessarily have to have the aid of a drafting partner?
It's really the fine line of this car loves being maybe about 0.7, almost a second back from the car in front of it, where it just loves to get these long drawn out runs. But as soon as it gets close, that almost bubble of air pushes in and just slows down the car so much where you kind of have to judge wherever, hey, if I'm going to get this run on this guy, when am I going to time this? Am I going to hit him at the right time? And can I pull out and shoot by him? So that's something really kind of keep in mind.
One thing you got to keep an eye on here as well, Dylan Poteet has fallen back to the 15th position. Your top 3 in the points coming into tonight were Poteet, Andrew Siegel, and Chad Winstead. Siegel is not in the field. Winstead is a lap down, and Poteet has fallen outside of the top 10. So that's kind of opening up the door if another driver wants to stick their foot in, maybe get a victory here tonight and put themselves up in the conversation inside the top 5 to be in the points lead conversation heading to the Dega Duels next week. That opportunity is there, at least for the time being.
Yeah, wrecks can happen almost anywhere here. Just a little bit of a miscommunication between Blake Trawick and Cam Barnes almost caused the death of JP3.
Look at Bronson Stafford. We talk about it in this series. There are no out of bounds. You can go below the yellow line, the double yellow line, whatever the Superspeedway would consider a penalty bound area. Bronson Stafford utilized all of that area there down on the apron of the front straightaway to complete the pass around his teammate Shane Tyrion, and Will Reichart was more than willing to follow him down there, testing the waters maybe for the last lap of this race.
And that's the thing, like, it's all gloves are off when we get to this last lap, and it's a question of, hey, who's going to have that run, who's going to have it at the right time, but also what line is going to prevail, because obviously with this a little bit of a hotter track state, that bottom line is going to prevail a little bit more easily. But if you get enough people on that top line who are dedicated to pushing and dedicated to working together, I mean, they could really make a run. And I don't think that we're seeing that because it just isn't late enough in the race. It just is not worth pushing and risking.
Driver that was involved in our first caution of the evening, a couple of them actually up here at the front again. We saw the 33 up in the air of Logston. He's now battling side by side with Bronson Stafford for the race lead, and third car on that inside line is the 23 of DeRoser. He also was involved in the first yellow flag, been doing a good job here in his rookie campaign, up here inside of the top 10, back in the conversation also.
And unfortunately, it looks like we have another driver to the garage. It'll be Jacob Halm pulling it behind the wall. He'll be done for today.
Well, that's kind of been the tale of his season, hasn't it? He's had a really strong car, been really good in qualifying, charges to the front in the early going, but seems to get caught up in a lot of the early to mid-race incidents, and we don't get to see what he has in the closing stages of this race.
And I'll tell you, like, he doesn't have luck. And if I have someone to kind of compare him to, it would be Matt Muir last season, where Matt Muir, I think, hit the catch fence at every single super speedway we went to. There was not a race where he could have luck just on his side. I mean, he was in wrecks constantly here, there. Just no rhythm, and obviously this season he came out swinging. Faded off a little bit here, but it's just one of those things. The luck can change at just the drop of a hat. Where, one week you can be on top of the world, next week, unfortunately, you're finishing last place because you wrecked out in lap 18.
But, obviously can't give up just yet, because you could find yourself a streak after tonight heading into the Dega duels and in preparation for the second half of this season, and easily in the span of 2 or 3 races find yourself right back in the conversation of top 5 in points.
Easily. And you just have a lot of room, and one win can change your entire outlook. I mean, look at, if I really want a good example, Poteet last week. I mean, he was someone who was up in points, but not up in the conversation, where that one win rocketed him all the way up to the lead. And that's the one win can change it so dramatically for you.
Now, Will Reichardt mentioned is doing the sub duties here tonight for Curtis Granger. Reichardt came into this race 33rd in points, Curtis Granger 35th in points. So both of them were pretty much situated in the same area as far as the standings are concerned. But the driver that's kitty corner to him there, the 18, Seth Noel, he's filling in for Ty Smith, who is 17th in points. And I want to go back to the conversation that you and I were having about Carl Faust when he was in the Connor Holden sub position last year and went on to victory. Is there more or less pressure when you're going into a race as a sub driver? Because obviously you want to perform well. Oh, well, we'll get to that point in a minute, because we just had contact between Poteet and Reichardt, and caution is going to wave. Fortunately, they both migrated down to the apron of turn 1, so I don't think anybody else was involved.
Yeah, realistically, that just looked like a disagreement on space.
Reichardt and Poteet both down in the apron there. You can see the left front damage on the Dale Jarrett throwback, little left rear damage as well. You can see a little bit of a ripple on the right front fender of the 77 of Reichardt. And here's a look at what happens here as Reichardt comes up, Poteet comes down. And again, very fortunate, one, that Poteet was able to keep that car going straight, because if he had spun, he probably would have come back up the banking and swept up other drivers. And also very fortunate that both cars went down there on the apron, because that would have more than likely been another corner wreck. And the first corner wreck we had here this evening, we saw a driver visit all 3 stories of the catch fence and then some. Nice job there by Will Reichardt. Get on the brakes, didn't get any more damage, nosing it into that inside safer barrier, and credit to everybody else that was around this also to be able to avoid, as here's the onboard with Poteet, who I think kind of got taken by surprise right there. Look at the hands as he's able to get that thing turned back to the right, keep it pointing the right direction. Bronson Stafford had to slow up there as he was nearly collected up in the incident, but I guess we could call it a mild one here for the third caution of the day. Again, though, another incident pretty close to the front of the field. Here's a look from the rear bumper cam of Bronson Stafford. And there you see the contact made. Stafford able to get on the brakes, comes back up the track. Everybody's going to give him the room necessary. And with the caution flying, everybody then starts slowing their speed down in preparation to pick up the pace car. So that gives me the opportunity here, Matt, to kind of go back, and we can utilize this caution period to talk about the point we were going to before that contact ensued about the Seth Noel position and
Yes.
more or less pressure if you're a sub driver.
I mean, the biggest thing, and kind of keep this in mind, where there was very different circumstances. Carl Faust is coming in where Holden was a long shot going into the championship, and more or less Holden said, hey, just do your best, don't wreck, get as much points as you can, get me ready for iRacing Superspeedway. Because Holden was, I believe he had computer issues. His computer actually full on melted. So he was working on getting a replacement, but he just didn't have it in time. So it was, hey, run these races for me, get me ready to run here. And he did just that. And I think having that sub-driver confidence of, yes, there is something bigger where I could affect here, because it's not only you who can actually get impacted by here. You can impact other drivers who have been spending the entire season here, and no one wants to come into a series and cause chaos and just wreck half the championship drivers. I mean, that's not what your goal is. But being that sub driver gives you a little bit more leeway of you're kind of on the back foot, but Yes, and then okay, they just determined that caution is a racing incident, so no one's gonna get EOL'd there. So good, 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 good.
So I take the opportunity here to take a look at what's been going on in our YouTube chats. Ty Smith cheering on his sub
Eh.
driver, Seth Noel, says he taught Seth everything he knows. Connor Holden, he's rooting for Sean Billman around these parts of Biloxi, Mississippi. And I know that you drove tonight, but
Okay.
you're also commentating, so I'm going to lay the commentator curse at your door.
Okay,
Jacob Holmes saying never to ask him if he's going to win a race again because 2 wrecks in the first 20 laps, and he had to use the faster pair on the first one.
buddy, I got taken out in both of those same wrecks, but there's a reason I'm not turning laps on this track anymore. But no, like I pulled him in because realistically, Jacob's gonna get him one. It just depends on which one it's gonna be.
Now, one thing I'm going to be asking you here because I am curious and I do not know, and I'm also going to squirrel this away for when we eventually come back here with the championship on the line, is fuel numbers. These guys all come into pit road. We're going to be going back green, it looks like, with about 21 laps to go. Can you make it that far on a tank? How far can you actually go on a tank of fuel?
Realistically, numbers is not really something that I was focusing on when I was in the car.
Oh, man, okay.
The biggest thing with
when
I
it
was kind of
sputters, you're out. Is that your philosophy?
yeah, because realistically, these cautions have fallen quite timely, and while we have historically had a lot of green flag runs where it turns into a fuel mileage race, I think we're more likely to see that next week at Talladega than we are to see it here.
All right, another random question for you. We already know the 32's sponsor is duct tape. Does it say Nerd as the sponsor there on the 33?
I mean 32?
No, on the 33.
Oh, actually, I think it's like.
I think the hood says Nerd.
Oh, actually, I think it's I believe Dustin Longston has a broadcasting / gaming channel. I think it's called nerdytubes.gg.
Ah, okay.
I'd say I recommend going to it because it's actually a really neat website. I actually really like the design. But you rocking that Dale Jr. throwback, so I respect it.
We've seen a lot of creativity out of the paint schemes here this season. A lot of throwbacks have been presented. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that the 18 there of a Seth Noel, forgive me if I have this incorrect, I don't remember the year, but I believe there was a Jeff Green car that was driven, an AOL Jeff Green car back when they had the whole Looney Tune things, and I believe that 18 is a throwback to that specific car. I could be wrong.
You got to put some respect on Panko's scheme. Just imagine that horse replaced by a red goose.
Wow. All right, now you've got me curious.
I also love how JP3 has a carbon fiber hood.
I mean, with that past tech?
Did you see the front of JP3's car?
I did see that.
Lamau.
Pretty sure that would pass tech.
It works.
I love too how that car is slowly falling apart, but yet he still's got the funding to be able to have purple hubcaps.
Hey, look. It's kind of one of those like furniture row situations.
There you go. Yeah.
And look at the outside lane charge. My goodness.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Blake Trawick did not get the lucky dog under that caution. I'm checking to see who it was that did get the free pass.
I think it went to Chad Winstead.
Oh, was it Chad Winstead? Okay.
I think it went to Chad Winstead. I could be wrong there.
The scoring has still got him as a lap down.
I think he may have went 2 down.
Oh, did he? Okay. Okay, I missed that then.
Maybe it was
I
Trawick.
was...
A+ reporting here.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. But at the moment, the scoring still has Chad Winstead -1. So if that doesn't change, then he would obviously be in line for the next free pass should we get a caution. As
this
got
is
that tandem on the outside line there. Look at the Toyotas. 5 of them up there.
And this is the real kind of test of like you find your friends where they are. I mean, the top line, they're all friends, they're all teammates, they know what they're doing. But that bottom line was a 33, 18, 4, 32. They may know each other through one shape or form, but more or less, they just kind of found each other on the racetrack and it's, hey, we're gonna go as fast as we can.
Now, is there a manufacturer that's easier to push in this particular type of a thing with iRacing as opposed to, an actual NASCAR, because a lot of people will say, it's easier to push with the Ford because they got the flatter nose, or it's harder to push with the Chevrolets because they've got that kind of a point there on the front of the nose. Do you feel any of that here with the iRacing cars, or do they all push equally well?
Definitely in the newer cars, you can 100% feel that difference in the nose. I mean, those Camrys are just a little bit pointy and a little bit darty, and those Fords are just great pushers. It looks like Seth Noel pushing it 3 wide. I've seen this. I've seen this before.
And Mike Tellier's going to jump up there. I didn't know if he was jumping up to make it 4 wide or if he said, no, I don't want to be part of this, and he's going to try to fall to the back. But that middle line is going to bring Seth Noel as well as Robert Panko and JP3 to the front. Ooh, got to keep those bumpers lined up together there off of turn 4. Look at Carl Faust with a run. Looks like he drags the brake a little bit there to tuck back in line. He had a run. I think he could have had a shot there to take it 3 wide for the lead.
Now, as this kind of fell, Bronson turned.
And there's a car that caught a bunch of air. I think that was Shane Terrian. Brandon Lambert's going to get involved there. Looks like also, was that Sean Billman in the 06? Logston, a lot of damage as smoke billowing from underneath his 33. As soon as the 12 got turned, the entire left front, or left rear rather, of the 9 of Shane Terrian popped up into the air, and man, that's a bunch of damage as well in the front end of Sean Billman's car.
And Bronson just caught him at the worst angle. My goodness. And just Shane's wheel still on his car.
This was 3 wide going into the corner, and yeah, Bronson on the left rear quarter panel of the 12 of Carl Faust spins him down to Shane Terrian. Nowhere for Logston or Billman to be able to go. There's
realistically
car up there as well that got a big piece of damage. Couldn't make out who that was.
I don't think Bronson was expecting Noel to kind of come up so quickly. So when Faust hit the bumper, Bronson pulled out thinking he could pass, and Faust just a little bit off center with Noel's bumper, came down, and unfortunately he came up, he went down and just popped him in the middle.
Man, look at that for Shane Terrian. You
That's
got
a lot
nothing
of good
but clean racetrack right there in front of you going into turn 1. Next thing you know, you're looking at it at a 45-degree angle without the aid of banking.
And Cam Barnes got eliminated. My goodness.
That might have been the other car that I saw that got totaled in that wreck that I wasn't able to identify.
I can't really fault Dustin Longston there. I mean, realistically, he was already sliding. He was trying his best to save the car. Unfortunately, just met in the middle.
Cam Barnes, after that contact on the left side from the 33. What about the splitter? How much does the transition there from the banking down to the apron affect that splitter? And if you don't repair it when you're on pit lane, how's that affect you for the remainder of the run?
It just feels a little less planted in the corners, and ooh, looks like Dustin Longston, he's going to pull it behind the wall. He is done for the day, and I think he burnt his fast repair in that first wreck, so yeah, that's definitely unfortunate.
Boy, tough break there for him. Longston, who burst on the scene with a great run last week at Daytona, brought it home in the 5th position after starting 6th, and subsequently, because of that good run, leapfrogged himself up into the 14th position in the standings with only 1 start under his belt. But looks like tonight he will have his journey coming to an end. Here's a look at it again. Man, the fact that the 9 didn't go over is incredible to me, because that thing was about 60% already barrel rolling. Look at the 46 there, Brandon Lambert, hard on the brakes, going to make a little bit of contact there with Terrian. There's Billman getting into the 33 of Longston. 77 kind of drifting around the top there of Reichart to be able to avoid. And you saw there on the right side of the screen, the 6 of Winstead. He's going to get the free pass here, not involved in that incident. So best time to get that lucky dog here in the closing stages of this race. Get yourself right back into the conversation. Only 31 points behind Dylan Pote for the points lead coming into this race. 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s in the first 3 races for that Mark Martin Valvoline throwback driver.
Ooh.
about some of the names we got up here towards the front right now, as we're going to be getting into the 15 to go mark. We've already talked about the fact we've had 3 different winners, and we could increase that to 4. You've got John Poole the third up here towards the front of the field. I kind of feel like he also falls into the maybe Robert Panko situation. Qualifies well, runs well, just always seems to have a problem not getting swept up in something in the closing stages. Maybe tonight's the night that he closes it out.
I got my money on Panko here. Like I really like what he's got. He's just kind of ran a smart race.
JP3 comes into this race 15th in points with only 1 top 10 in these first 3 races. How about Jason Shuey? Gonna start on the outside line there in the BP Ford Mustang, the number 3. This has kind of been his MO ever since we've seen him here in the Baadteshop Superspeedway series. Qualify at the back, run at the back, then make his way up to the front when it matters the most. Blake Trawick, by benefit of the choose cone, I think he was going to be 6th, but now he moves up about 3 spots to 3rd. William Reichardt still very much in the conversation, as he'll be on the outside of row 2 and 4th. Sebastian Miller there in the 5th position, and Robert Panko, the guy that you're apparently going to bet the farm on.
Realistically, like I said, Panko's had a really bad string of finishes. Ended up missing last week due to just some issues, and realistically, I think that's a solid guy here to choose. And look at Jason Shu. Also, shout out to him being in a Mustang, but I don't think that's the right car.
Yeah, I think, what is it, we're used to seeing him in that light blue Chevrolet Camaro, yeah. Mixing it up a little bit. Hey, maybe if he wins tonight, we'll never see him in a Chevrolet again.
I don't
maybe
believe that.
Maybe he'll be blue oval for the rest of time.
He is the only person I've seen to cut that little indent off a Toyota Camry to put a Chevy nose on it. It looked nice. It looked nice, though.
So you're saying the Chevy Camry actually exists? I only thought I invented it.
Oh, no. It exists, all right.
All right. Well, green flag set to come back out. It's going to be with 14 laps to go here this evening. John Poole the third on the inside, Jason Shu on the outside. Looks like both lanes going to start getting formed up as they enter into the corner, but Blake Trawick was able to get to JP3's back bumper quicker, so top 3 on the inside line will clear. Back to Sebastian Miller.
And I can't confirm this time.
Seth Knoll trying to clear as well.
100% Chad Winston got that lucky dog, so he is back on the lead lap.
There you go. So we've got a total of now, I believe, 20 drivers that are on the lead lap. So I guess you mentioned the 33 of Logston.
Over already 3. Over almost 4.
A lot of movement as they enter here into the corner. I love how we can count the lanes. 6 lanes available here going into 1 and going into 3, but you enter into the corner in lane 2, you're probably going to find yourself in lane 3 by the time you get a third of the way through the corner. Because of the way this banking is and the high speeds these drivers carry, you have to allow for about a half lane or a full lane up from where you enter, because these cars slide up, and as we've already documented, the warmer track conditions here this evening are just going to exacerbate that problem.
And you know, this is so much more scary watching from that bird's eye helicopter view, because just looking at all this, I mean, you don't see this when you're in car. You just see the backs of the tops of the spoilers as you're riding behind. You're trying to guess where some of these cars are. You're trying to guess where the cars are going to end up lining up, and you just don't see this wad of giant metal. My goodness.
I love that when we have you drivers up in the booth, because I feel like we hear more animation out of you when you're up here watching what's going down than when you're down there in the cockpit of these machines. Is that because you guys are ignorant of what's happening, or you're just in your happy place? You're in your office then?
It's absolutely lovely whenever you're just mind your own business, and then you just see a sudden flash of color out to your left, and it's another car trying to come back out on track. So where did you come from?
Oh man, you gotta wonder how we feel as commentators up here watching you guys out there. We're up here freaking out when you guys go 4 wide, and you guys are probably just down there like, this is fun.
Who would be a good guy to pull at the moment? Let's see. Yeah, how eager do you think Poteet will be?
He's riding at the tail end of this pack. He's just chilling. I think he's got time to talk.
Hey, Poteet, this is Seth and Matt up in the Not Fox Sports booth. You got us?
I guess. I'm in a little bit of a traffic jam right now.
Oh yeah, we
No,
see
no,
here.
you're
You
fine,
got a
you're
little
fine.
bit to pull through.
You have two pair. You have a pair of eyes and a brake pedal. Everything's fine.
Are you sure about that?
Well, I mean, neither rain nor sleet nor dead of night. I don't remember the postman's mantra, but whatever.
My
You know,
goodness.
I mean, first off, congratulations
nerd.
on your victory last week at Daytona. Unfortunately, we weren't able to see it live, but you're coming in leading the point standings here as well. We know you've got that little bit of damage. How is it affecting you with you riding here at the back of the pack, or are you just chilling at the moment, waiting to see what ensues?
I really don't know what's happening. I'm getting put 3 and 4 wide right now. So
Oh, no, you ain't no LT. You're inside. You're fine.
Yeah,
Well,
you're all good.
the last time I turned left, I turned into a car and put myself in this situation.
No.
so-
He came up. He came up.
Hey,
It went
well,
down. He
if you-
came up.
Well, if you run the bot, no, I can't say if you run the bottom, there won't be a car to your inside because there's no rules as far as the apron's concerned. So never mind that advice.
I don't know if I'd do that, buddy.
Well, here we go. But yeah, it's not running as good as it was once. I still have the fast repair, so that's a thing. But yeah, it's fun, having a blast.
I mean, we talked about the fact last year you were one of the prime contenders down the home stretch for the championship. This year, it seemed like as soon as you got that good finish here 3 weeks ago, you've hit your stride. You got that win last week at Daytona. You've been up front here this evening. So we got one down there on the apron. Looks like that might have been the 18. But you've been up here at the front this evening looking for back-to-back victories. I mean, the confidence level's got to be ramping up.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll go ahead and I'll let you go before you die. Wish you luck, buddy.
I'm here so I don't get fined.
Any last words?
Man
Well-
was in the danger zone.
Yeah, man's hauling the mail. I'm trying to figure out how many postal puns I can make here before he eventually flips.
Let's see. Who else could I terrorize today?
Let's see. Who you got?
Where's Matt Muir?
Yeah.
There he is. He's
Yeah.
not in danger at the moment.
No.
You're doing a hell of a job.
No,
pushing us
you're not going to say that. Hey,
Oh, come on, we
Matt.
gotta hear the team communications,
Yeah,
man.
hey, Matt. It's Matt and Steph in the definitely not Fox Sports booth. You got
Yeah,
us?
you're supposed to give me a warning.
What warning?
No warning. This is Superspeedway racing. There's no
If you-
warnings.
If you don't want swears, then you need a warning.
But right now, currently kind of riding at the tail end of this, I guess we could call it the calm before the storm. One win in the bank, looking for a second one here. You've kept your nose clean all day long. We've been seeing you be able to avoid wrecks, come to a stop when some of them are happening right in front of you. Haven't had to use that fast repair. Coming into 8 laps to go, I mean, what's the thought process here to maybe get your second career win?
If this is the calm, the storm terrifies me.
So I said, what's your strategy? How are you going to get up there?
Well, we were trying to shuffle the 77 out since he's been a weapon. Oh!
Whoa!
Low. Keep low. You're good. Okay, well,
You didn't die, Matt. Good job.
I feel we can take
Fun.
credit. Oh, well, there's a car upside down, sliding out the banking there. Couldn't tell who that was. There's Jason Shue, Brandon Lambert. Someone was turtled.
I think Mike claimed that.
I'm trying to see back from our broadcast footage to see who that car was that was turtled. They kind of Michael Jackson down in the lower
I
third
think
of
that
our
was
screen.
Brandon Lambert.
Was that Lambert?
Yeah, I'm glad that we weren't talking to Poteet during that time.
No.
Oh wait, no, it was Poteet.
know, I think we did-
Oh.
You know, I'm just going to give ourselves an attaboy, a pat on the back. I think we did a good job spotting Matt through that wreck.
Good job, you say.
He didn't die. Oh, well.
Well,
There's
yeah,
the car that went
Poteet.
upside down. It was Poteet.
Poteet's done, and that's a huge
Wow.
hit. Actually, back being serious a little bit, that is a huge hit for him because realistically, you look at him, he is the points leader here.
But he does have his fast repair still, he told
But
us
he's
when
got to
we
do
had him.
he's got to do that 2-minute toe back, and that's
Oh,
gonna be a
no,
huge
that's
hit.
right.
He's hoping realistically here. He's hoping for maybe staying one lap down at minimum and taking that fast repair and hopefully getting a caution right beforehand. And, maybe it's gonna be tough.
Another big driver involved in that one in Bronson Stafford. former winner here at iRacing Superspeedway. Collected up in that one. Here's on board with Poti. Let's see if the camera survives. Man, Brandon Lambert. Holy cow! Are we taking off to the moon or something? Because that's what that looked like. I went to Disney World last year. Did Mission Space. That kind of reminded me of the Mission Space simulator. So Poti, unfortunately, going to have to take that tow. That's going to cost him valuable time on pit lane. This, of course, the biggest racetrack, the longest racetrack that we run this season, 3 miles in length, so a longer tow than it would be if we were at Talladega or Daytona, or of course at Atlanta.
So
Man, there's Stafford with
we
a
got some
windshield full of Poti.
we got some words from Poteet if you'd like me to share them.
Are they safe for the air?
They are safe. I've cut out the part that isn't safe.
Oh, okay, all right.
He reports that is the commentator's curse if he's ever seen it.
Is that the commentator's curse? I don't know. He wasn't with us when it happened.
True. It
Everything
was
was
right
fine as we were talking to him.
Technically, it wasn't.
And we
our
weren't
choice.
talking about him when it happened. So I don't think we take credit for commentator's curse on that one.
Technically, it wasn't our choice to push it 4 wide. So
Yeah.
I already paid for that. Later on. Man, look at Brandon Lambert.
Wow. Oh man, then the 77 there as
again.
well of Reichardt getting not only 1 but 2 shots there to the windshield roof area, and I'm pretty certain that Will Reichardt has already taken on a faster pair, so
I'm trying
that
to think
could be
if
his day done.
I'm trying to think if Bronson even has a faster pair left to use.
I don't think Bronson's been involved in a wreck yet, has he?
I don't know. That's actually something I haven't thought about.
I'm pretty sure he hasn't. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure he hasn't. I'll tell you who did a heck of a job getting through that wreck was Robert Kenny. Kind of the seas parted for him. He had about a half dozen cars that were to his outside, a half dozen cars that were to his inside.
I also
he was able
did
to get through all of them.
I also did learn that Zinger Vetmet had prepped when he came in was a golden horseshoe comet.
Oh, okay. I feel like we were his golden horseshoe right there. I still think we get credit for coaching him through that wreck. So we're gonna get this restart with less than 10 to go. At least for in regulation as well. Let's bear in mind that we do have unlimited overtime green-white checkered attempts as looks like the top
Unlimited,
3
like I said, we're gonna figure out how many it's gonna take to finish this race.
Yeah, absolutely. The last time we were here at iRacing Superspeedway, I believe we ended up doing
And I've got some really
all
good news for
55
you.
laps in regulation. We didn't actually have to use an overtime.
Poteet is 1 lap down.
1 lap down. Okay, so if
Same with Brandon Lambert. He is 1 lap down too. So it is a battle between those two if a caution comes out to get that lucky dog. Bronson, however, is currently 2 down. So he is going to be trapped way back in 20th. That's going to be an uphill battle.
I think safe to assume Stafford did not have a faster pair available then if he's -2.
Well, his car looked fully fixed, so I think he had that faster pair, but I think he had to tow back.
Oh, did he really? Okay, all right. I don't know, for some reason when I saw that car, it looked like it was not damaged enough where he would be able to drive it back, but maybe not.
Yeah. This is going to be sketch.
There's a lot of red, white, and blue up here at the front. Got the iRacing pace car, the Mobile 1 car, and the Valvoline car.
We're definitely not done wrecking. I just don't see JP3 getting off the back bumper of Panko. That's it. Those two, like I said, I could see them going hand in hand, so they're going to be a tough duo to beat. Same thing with Cole DeResters. Like I said, or this, did I say his last name right?
DeRosier.
That's it. Cole, either way, Cole's going to be hard to beat because realistically, those 3 cars can work in a great trio together. I've seen it before. And on the outside line, you've got kind of a mismatch between Chad Winstead, you got Matt Muir, I believe that's Carl Faust up there too. So it's going to be a tough one.
Here's the thing, though. You talk about those two sticking together, but you also talked about the fact that the weather conditions make it difficult on the pusher to be able to keep that tight draft for fear of the engine overheating. So with it being here now 4 laps to go, can they stay linked up together for 12 miles?
That's the big question. I honestly am not sure, but you see Shane Therian and Robert Kenny pushing it 3, Carl Faust trapped in the middle, and it's kind of a battle between the top 2 between Panko and JP3 and then Chad Winstead and Matt Muir, but it doesn't look like Matt can get up to the back bumper of Chad.
Also got DeRoser down there on the inside line. Sean Billman on the inside line there. Sebastian Miller. But Cam Barnes there in the 7. We end up seeing him get some pretty good left side contact after he and the 33 got together on, I believe it was the second caution of the evening. And he's been able to now bounce back up here inside of the top 10. Panko clear for the top position, no, and what a difference a caution makes, huh? 6 car got the lucky dog, and now he's up here battling for the race lead, battling for the race win, and maybe potentially battling for the points lead. Poteet a lap down. Winstead comes into this race 3rd in points, and Andrew Siegel is not in the field.
Carl Faust made a really late block, almost put Shane in the wall, almost put Kenny in the fence.
And
They're still going,
Winstead's
though.
clear. Winstead cleared around the top there, moves down in front of the 4 of Robert Panko. The problem is, though, under normal circumstances, normal Superspeedway rules, you would hug that inside line and have nobody make a move to your left. With the fact there's no out of bounds, you got to block about 2 or 3 lanes down the apron here down these straightaways also, as well as the 3 or 4 lanes to your outside.
And look at Matt Muir. I mean, he's a guy who has been super inconsistent since that race 1 win, and now he's up here in front. And hey, if he wins this, we can talk to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Matt Muir, 6th in points after that victory. That's his only top 5 and his only top 10. But hey, be another big points payout. Well, he's gotten shuffled down the inside line, and he's going to the back. Winstead and Panko on the top side there. Oh, they're all brushing the wall. Billman up there on the outside line. Now the inside line being led by Double the Third, and there goes Winstead. Oh, into Carl Faust.
Who gets the lucky dog?
I saw the 31 got through, but I didn't see who between the 31 and who was the car that he was battling there? It was
Brandon Lambert. And honestly,
46.
They were side by side when it happened. Poteet dodged low, Lambert dodged high. Lambert got the advantage. I think that it was Lambert.
It's a matter of the time when the caution comes out. The field is frozen. There's the wreck. And yeah, I think you can see right there for the entirety of that corner, even before the wreck took place, it was about half a car length advantage to the 46. All hope is not lost for Poteet, though, because I believe this is going to send us into overtime, and there is every possibility we could end up having another yellow, in which I think Poteet is going to be the only car that is -1. But I'm with you. I think Lambert's going to end up getting the lucky dog here, and man, Robert Panko just on the back bumper of Chad Winstead pushes him into the corner there, and you know, we know about these cars and their ability to be able to draft, to be able to tandem, but I think the same age-old rule applies here as much as it does any other super speedway and any other type of car. You just cannot be leaning on that car going into the entrance of a corner. You can't be pushing there because that's about where the car is at its lightest.
Yeah, and just it was over. That's a bit of a rookie mistake, unfortunately. And it's just that's how iRacing Super Speedway has always been. It's just you cannot push in these corners. It's just that's not how this car works.
There's 3 reasons especially why you can't push going into a corner. Number 1, as I just mentioned, that's where the back end of the car gets about the lightest outside of a tri-oval if you're at Daytona or Talladega. Number 2, it's very difficult to get the bumpers lined up because more often than not, both cars going into the corner are going to have slightly different lanes in their entry, and so if you're just slightly off on the bump, it's going to send the car in front of you around. And number 3, even more so here than any other racetrack, but you go into a corner at a super speedway, you've got that banking that you enter into, and that scrubs off a couple of miles per hour on the race car that's in front first before the second car. So there's going to be actually about a mile per hour difference, and that's going to send the front bumper of that second car into the back bumper of the first car.
Easily so. I mean, and what I really want to kind of bring home here is like, this is not, and yes, Brandon Lambert did get the lucky dog, but this is not anything bad upon Panko here. These cars kind of lull you into a sense of security where you can push anywhere, you can just slam draft. I mean, you don't have to worry about anything, and these cars just, they almost encourage it to where you get to these situations where you're pushing someone in the corner, you think it can hold it, and just unfortunately it can't.
So there you see on the top left on our scoring pylon, 58 laps now. as we are going to be going into overtime past the regulated 55 laps. Our first attempt at an overtime green-white checkered. Usual green-white checkered rules apply. If we end up getting back to the white flag, next flag will end the race. They race back to the checkers. But if the field and the leader does not get back to receive the white flag and the caution comes out, we rack them up and we do it again. And when we get to this portion of the race, Matt, this is when it is the most important of when drivers were able to save their faster pairs. If they had to utilize their faster pair in the early going, they don't have it available here in the closing stages, more than likely the next wreck that they're involved is going to be the end of their night, and they won't be able to be in the hunt for this victory. But if they've got that faster pair on standby, we've seen at this racetrack, with these cars, with this package, drivers can work their way. They can tandem their way from the back of a lead group all the way up to the front in the matter of less than a lap, so they still have a shot at this victory. Robert Pankow out in front, going to be the race leader. Be interesting to see which lane he chooses for this upcoming choose cone. He's got Sean Billman behind him in second, John Poole the third in third. And then it looks like Sebastian Miller and Cam Barnes going to be the top five. Looks like the 4 takes the bottom. Looks like the 06 takes the bottom. JP3 will take the top. The 83 will go to the bottom. And to the outside line is going to be the 5th place running machine of Cam Barnes. Looks like Matt Muir takes the top, so he'll be restarting in 6th. Robert Kenny will be the 4th car on the inside line in 7th. And we'll see who it was that took the outside line here to slot into 8th behind the 72 of Matt Muir, but maybe no more so important than in the closing stages as to which lane you choose for the choose cone. It's like Jason Shu was the car that took the outside line and will restart in the 8th position. There you see back there the 61 of Bronson Stafford. Stafford multiple laps down, but he can be the proverbial X factor in this one. Maybe push a teammate or a fellow Toyota to a victory here tonight. There's the 46 of Brandon Lambert, the lucky dog driver. Looked like the 35 of Sam Dyer. Might have come down pit road. May have done a little bit of extra damage repair here. Going to start the tail end of the field as getting ready to go back green here for our first attempt at an overtime green-white checkered finish. It's Toyota versus Chevrolet on the front row, and a Chevrolet and a Ford in row number 2. Can Robert Pankow, who's been very strong in the early stages and middle portions of this race, but not been able to close out the deal, finally be able to get one and increase the different winners here in Season 5 to 4. Green flag back in the air. Let's see if they can make it back around to the white.
The big thing here, you got Robert Pankow on the bottom. And what some people may be scratching their head over is Pankow technically was the cause of that caution, but he is still up front. So, Seth, remember how we had that whole talk about exploiting the rulebook?
Mm-hmm.
Technically, the rulebook was exploited because a different car claimed the accident.
Oh. Interesting.
So technically, it's legal. It won't be legal next week, but it's legal right now.
Okay, well, find that gray area in the rule book, I guess. Sean Billman has got himself clear for the lead. Is he going to be able to get down in front of Pankow? No, he's not. I think he had the option if he wanted it. Pankow will charge back to the bottom. Blake Trawick pushing him there as it looks like the Ford's going to clear for the top spot, and they are indeed going to make it back here to the start-finish line. It's official. We're racing back to the checkers.
Look at Sean Billman, Seth Noel. These are two guys who've kind of been murking around all day, but just never been up there to finish a job.
Mike Tellier up here in the conversation. In the 97, JP3 going to shoot up the gap between him and Robert Pankow, but Billman with a rear deck lid full of Seth Noel. Oh, look at the push here for Tellier from Robert Kenny. We're going 4 wide, maybe 5. Tellier going to get to the outside of Billman, JP3 looked low.
Oh, we're not going to make that corner.
Oh, nope, we're not. Panko up into Seth
Oh, Matt
Knoll.
Muir.
And Muir hard into the wall. Now it's going to be Kenny versus Tellier versus Billman coming back to the line. Kenny's got no help. Billman's with the 97. Now Billman looks low on Tellier. There goes Billman. There goes Kenny. All by himself is going to be Mike Tellier, who's going to pick up his first win on the season here tonight at
He gets
iRacing
second.
Superspeedway.
I think it's Sebi who got second.
I think you're exactly right. I think it was Miller who got
And
second.
Sam Dyer, P3.
Did he get third? He started shotgun on the field on that last restart.
My goodness. What
There
even
he's-
happened?
And here come the wounded cars. Look at this drag race
Oh.
here between JP3 and Seth Noel.
Gotta get everything you can.
Every position matters, right?
You got to get everything you can.
I mean, there's a difference between, what is it, 15th and, no, not 15th, 20th and 21st. It's a difference of 4 points, a 5-point payout to a 1-point payout. But how about Mike Tellier? Missed the first couple of starts of the season. I believe, if I remember correctly, either his wheel or his pedals hadn't arrived or something. He hadn't gotten them hooked up. So he ended up starting a little bit behind the 8-ball in terms of points. But here tonight makes up for it, as he's going to be able to burn it down at iRacing Superspeedway. His first victory on the season. I'd have to check back, but I believe he is a former winner here as well at iRacing Superspeedway in a previous season of the Baadteshop Superspeedway series, but it's his first victory of season 5, as he's going to do a little Polish victory lap burnout. Little shades of Alan Kulwicki. What a move there for Mike Tellier, though. On the outside, 4 wide, had a big push there from Robert Kenny, and everything happened underneath him through 3 and 4. Fortunately, had the drafting help there from Sean Billman as he was battling Robert Kenny off of turn 4's exit. And then Kenny and Billman get together, and that cleared the playing field for Mike Tellier to be able to waltz away with this victory. Here's a look at it again. Coming to the white flag, they're lined up on the top side there. Tellier with his teammates, Matt Muir and Robert Kenny. Gets the big push here into 1 and 2. Watch all the movement that takes place down below him there. John Poole III shooting up the gap. Panko to the inside there, 3 wide, 4 wide behind them there with Treywick and Kenny and Muir and Lambert. And then watch this move right here. There's the block by Seth Noel. Tellier goes to the top, Kenny goes with him, and watch how all this here, I mean, right there, the 06 could have gone up the track and collected the 97, but he didn't. Right there, the 4 comes up the track, gets the 18. There were a lot of opportunities for drivers to sweep up into Mike Tellier, who was on the extreme outside line, but it never happened. And right here, look at this block by Tellier on Billman. Billman then gets hooked in the right rear quarter panel by Robert Kenny, and there is absolutely nobody, as far as the eye can see, for Mike Tellier to have to defend against for the last 100 or 200 feet to the start-finish line, as he picks up the checkered flag here tonight. Tellier came into this race 15th in overall points, 2 previous starts, 1 top 10 finish in those previous starts. No doubt this is going to put him up at least in the top 10, maybe even the top 5 in the standings. We'll have to wait and see after all is calculated based on where everybody else finished, as from second place on back, there were a lot of raggle-taggled machines, smoking, badly damaged, fenders missing, noses missing, doors caved in, that all tried to muscle their way back to be able to finish the best they could. There you see the 83 of Sebastian Miller, the 35 of Sam Dyer be able to sneak their way through. Shane Tyrion's going to squeak through for 4th. Looks like Blake Treywick, who won at this racetrack last time we were here, is going to complete the top 5. Everybody trying to bob and weave past the cars that wrecked from turn 3 all the way over here to the exit of turn 4 in the restart zone area leading to the start finish line, trying to get every position and every point that they possibly could. Here's the onboard with Sam Dyer. Take a look at this from turn 3 all the way over to turn 4. Got it right down the inside line. Some contact on the right side. That's okay. Kept it pointed in the right direction. At this point in time, he's in line to finish in the 5th position. And then there you see the wreck that has Kenny into the inside wall and Billman into the outside wall. He'll pass them both. And we'll be talking with him along with Sebastian Miller and tonight's race winner, Mike Tellier, in just a moment here. 4th different winner on the season. And now Toyota ties Ford with 2 victories so far here this year as well. And what a precursor to set us up for the second half of the season beginning next week with the Dega duels. Let's go down and see if we can get a word with our podium finishers here tonight. How about a guy that we were just in the driver's seat with on that last onboard? Brings it home in the 3rd position tonight. See if we can dial up Sam Dyer. Hey, Sam, it's Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got me?
I got you.
I'll tell you what, right place, right time. You must have had a bowl of popcorn there in the car with you because you started shotgun on the field there on that final restart. And next thing you know, the seas part, the smoke clears, you're crossing the line in the 3rd position. Couldn't have been as easy as it looked, though.
Oh, no. I mean, I saw Bronson. I knew he was a lap down, so he really wasn't a factor on positioning-wise. So kind of used him up as an extra 4 more tires to get through that mess. But it certainly was saw an opening, take it, and I saw the apron, said, I'm going to use this, and then somehow hit the backstretch and thought, okay, I'll take a 5th place finish. And then they started wrecking in front, coming across the line, so I'll take a 3rd.
Coming into this race, 18th in the point stands, got your first top 10 last week at Daytona, but first top 5 here tonight. We know that obviously the higher you finish, the more the points payouts are, and a points payout like this can definitely put you up into the hunt for the points lead. I mean, this has got to do a lot for the psyche heading into the second half of this season. Really on a streak right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's I kind of take this as redemption for the first race of the season where I felt like I should have gotten a 5th place finish. It didn't pan out that way. And then, like I said, got my first top 10 last week, getting this top 5. This was kind of make or break coming in tonight. I was like, okay, I'm either going to get a top 5 finish or my season's done for a championship. So this certainly makes it feel like, okay, I still got a chance to go for it.
So kind of came into this race, kind of looking back at the notes from the previous race we had here at race number 2, but we had the mitigating factor, the difference being the weather, a higher track temperature that you drivers had to deal with here this afternoon. Did you feel that difference from the last event to this one?
I think I didn't feel it as much because I accidentally used my fast repair under our second caution. So I was in defensive mode the whole entire night of just trying to keep the car underneath me in one piece. So I didn't really get a chance to bump draft or feel that difference. So I didn't really get that chance. I think a lot of the other guys felt that a lot more than I did.
Well, great run for you here tonight. Well done on getting through the carnage on that final lap to net the podium position, 3rd place here tonight. Sam, before we let you go, you've been up here before. You know the drill. Floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since I've been on FRN, but I want to give a huge shout out to Sky Motorsports guys and Bronson for sure for letting me use up that vehicle through that wreck. Big thanks to my parents as I have them on the side of my car, and to anyone that got caught up in that wreck throughout any point of this race that I might have touched at some point. Sorry about that, but good luck everybody for next week.
Sam Dyer, and that's a 3rd place performance here this evening at iRacing Superspeedway. He'll look to keep that momentum going as we head into the Dega duels next week. Congratulations on the great run there, Sam.
Thanks, Seth.
Let's see if we can now dial up the driver that brings it home in the 2nd position. A very similar circumstance as well. He was in line to finish 4th, finds himself in the runner-up spot after what happened off of turn 4. Let's see if we can dial up Sebastian Miller. Hey, Sebastian, Seth up here in the FRN studios. You got me?
Hello, how are you?
Well, man, I'll tell you what. A lot of times in super speedway racing, you got to be good. A lot of times you have to be lucky. Looked like you were a little bit of both there on that final restart. Starting about, looked like around the 7th or 8th position on that restart. A lot of stuff happening up in front of you. How'd you get through it all?
Well, I don't know. I just picked the wrong line there at the end, pushing Billman up top. Got hung out and then had to kind of just settle and hope I could miss the wreck, and got a little sideways trying to avoid all of it, and ended up coming out of there P2 somehow.
We ended up seeing you very much so in the conversation. The second half of this race maybe kind of looked like you were hanging back, kind of preserving the faster pair or preserving the race car overall in the first half of this race. Was there anything from the previous race we had here 3 weeks ago that had you maybe have that strategy coming in?
I knew that the track temperature was different from last time that we were here, with the little bug that's going on, but just feeling out for the runs that we could get. Just seeing, if we could preserve the car for the end. We had to use the faster pair a little early in the race, but at least we were able to have that and, rebound from that.
Yeah, netting your second top 5 on the season, your first one back in the season opener at Talladega. Came into this race 12th in overall points, and we saw you down the home stretch of last season be a factor up inside of the top 10 in overall points, making a push there for the top 5. I mean, here this season, looks like we're seeing that same consistency as you try and make a push for the championship. What's the confidence level now heading into the second half?
Second half, just make sure that we keep everything clean and that we're there at the end. Try and get as many bonus points as we can. I know that's always goes a long way, for the championship, but just making good, smart runs, not doing anything stupid, and keeping our nose clean.
Over the onboard, we're showing right here some good, smart moves made in the final 3 miles here for you to bring it home in the second position. Going to net some really good points as well. Going to have a good, solid point standing position heading into the Dega Duels next week. Congratulations on the great performance here tonight, keeping that nose clean and sticking it around till the end. Before we let you go, we're giving the opportunity to thank some sponsors and do some shout-outs.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone, Sean Billman, Henry Clay, and I want to shout out the guys in Biloxi. The Swamp is holding it down at the casino tonight.
Sebastian Miller with the second place performance here this evening at iRacing Superspeedway. Congratulations on the job well done. Best of luck next week in preparation for the Dega Duels.
All right, thanks guys. Y'all have a good one.
Sebastian Miller, you saw there with that on board and those shots. Very clean looking race car. Same can be said for this guy here tonight. I don't think we mentioned him in a wreck all evening and up at the front when it mattered the most. Let's dial up our 4th different winner on the season. See if we can get a hold of Mike Tellier down in Victory Lane. Hey Mike, Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got me?
Seth, how do I know this name?
I
Seth.
don't know, man. It's been a while, but I'll
It's
tell you
been
what.
forever.
I'll tell you what, though, I had a little bit of a flashback. I remember another race where you had to hold off 1 or 2 cars off of turn 4 here at iRacing Superspeedway, and were able to do so. A little deja vu, but maybe a little bit more difficult here in this one because there was actually a point through 3 and 4 where you didn't have the advantage.
Seth, I didn't have the advantage all race long. I go to Kenny coming down the backstretch. I'm like, Kenny, let's go middle. And then the middle closed, and I just made a reaction to the top, and I don't know where everyone went. So, yeah, hi.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up too, as you kind of touch on that, because we had Matt Rudd up here in the booth here tonight, and he was mentioning about the fact that he was worried about what was going on the racetrack because a driver doesn't exactly get to see everything that's happening around them, and you made that move up to the outside line, and 2 and 3 lanes of cars were wrecking beneath you. Could have easily slid up and taken you out. Did you know that was even happening down there?
No. I knew something was going to happen. But usually, by the time you get into turn 3 off the backstretch, everybody plows high. Like, you go into the corner and everyone seems to drift high. So if there was a wreck at that point, I thought for sure I was dead. And then I went going into turn 3 and I hear clear low and I see nobody but Kenny and Billman. And I'm like, I'm a block Billman. And then Kenny had the preferred lane, in my opinion. He was side drafting me. I thought for sure he had it. But it looks like he got gap whacked pretty hard, and then a silly move thinking Billman was going to go low onto the apron as Billman came high, and somehow I win this race by 3 seconds. So I'll take it. It's been a season and a half, 2 seasons since I was up here talking to you in Victory Lane. It's been far too long.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, a win is a win, whether it's an inch or a mile interval. I mean, obviously, got to be some great momentum for you heading into the second half of this season. We've seen you in the championship hunt before going into a season finale. What do you think? We end up seeing you, obviously. We ended up documenting about the fact we didn't see you in the season opener. You had a great run when we came here the first time to iRacing Superspeedway, coming into this race 15th in overall points, going to leapfrog in the point standings with the points you're going to garner here tonight with this checkered flag. So, what's this do for the momentum, getting ready to maybe get into championship form down the home stretch?
Well, I started the season on controller. I was handicapped, so the whole season was mostly like team points, team points. So Sky Motorsports, 150%. I don't care if I'm in victory lane, team points. We'll see where this puts me in the standings, but right now, I have 3 awesome teammates that are working hard to get a team championship since it's finally a thing, and that's the goal. So hopefully we can get Bronson and Muir and I don't know, is it Tom? I think Tom's the other one. We got 2 basic teams, but I think Tom's the other 4th driver on Sky Motorsports. So if he shows up, hopefully we can get some W's. Yeah, it's team game. That's my mindset this season, and I don't think it's going to change until potentially season finale if I have a shot to win. So.
Well, there you go. Well, congratulations, Mike, on the job well done here tonight. Great move there into turn 3, able to keep that momentum going off of turn 4. Perfect block at the right time, and then just nobody in your rearview mirror there for that final stretch to the checkered flag. Before we let you go and enjoy this victory some more, floor is yours for some victory lane thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
Yeah, first off, this one goes to my grandma. She passed away this morning. So, I kind of had an angel pushing me there by the feels of things. So, it's for her. Sky Motorsports, because they're the best team you could race with. And Apple Chat, if they're watching. I don't know if they are, but you guys know who you are. Thanks for the support. And yeah, we'll see you next week, hopefully again.
Absolutely. Mike Tellier looks to carry this momentum into the Dega Duels next week. He's the 4th different driver to go to victory lane here this season. His first victory in the Baadteshop Superspeedway since 2022. As you mentioned, long time that we've been able to talk to you down there in victory lane. Congratulations. Go savor this one.
Thanks, Seth.
Mike Tellier with the victory here tonight. Toyota's 2nd win on the season. More specifically, that last victory, May 1st of 2022. That was the 9th race of the 3rd season of this series. As you take a look at the finishing results of tonight's split second, 150. Miller coming home in 2nd. Sam Dyer in 3rd. Shane Tyrion, good run for him in the 4th position. Blake Trawick going to net some good points after he took the checkered flag here at this particular racetrack 3 weeks ago, garnering a top 5. Sean Billman, despite the fact he was involved in that wreck off of turn 4, he'll be able to limp it across the line in 6th. Cam Barnes, good run for the rookie in 7th. Robert Panko in 8th. How about Brandon Lambert? He got the lucky dog under the caution prior to this final green-white checkered and brings it home in 9th. And Robert Kenny, who was the other driver caught up in that wreck off of turn 4, he's going to be able to bring it home in the 10th position. Here you see a bunch of the drivers that were involved in the incident over in turn 3, and were all able to kind of make their way back to the start-finish line with Jason Shue, Cole DeRoser, John Poole III, Seth Noel in that fill-in position there for Ty Smith in 14th, Will Reichart in the 15th position. Matt Muir, Dylan Pote managed to get himself back on the lead lap, I believe, but he'll finish in 17th place. We'll have to see if he's still going to be the points leader or not. His closest competitor, Chad Winstead, finishes right behind him in 19th place. Bronson Stafford, the meat in the sandwich there. Carl Faust going to bring it home, completing the top 20. And then these drivers did not reach the conclusion of this race. Dustin Longston, who looked like he was going to have another good run off the heels of his debut last week at Daytona, he finishes behind the wall. Jacob Holm, who was involved in 2 early incidents, finishing in 22nd. Our in-race commentator, Matthew Rodriguez, we ended up seeing some pretty good shots from his onboard. He wasn't able to reach the conclusion, finishing in 23rd. Looks like Joey Chapman did not make the start of this race. He's going to finish in the 24th position here tonight. Well, next week, folks, it's going to be really interesting because you're going to get 2 races for the price of 1. They're going to be abbreviated races. They're going to be sprints at Talladega, but they will pay out their own separate amount of points. Gonna be a really interesting sense of aggression and urgency, as we'll be bringing you coverage of that on the Twitch side on Split Second Broadcasting, on the YouTube side on Flatout Racing Network next Friday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Congratulations to Mike Tellier here tonight as he wins race number 4 of the 5th season of the UpperEdge Racing Baadteshop Superspeedway Series, the Split Second 150 at iRacing Superspeedway. My thanks to Matthew Rodriguez for joining me in the booth here tonight from behind the wheel of his number 51. Thanks to Jeff Johnson, our producer here tonight. And for myself, Seth Cole, enjoy the rest of your Friday evening. We'll see you guys next week as we continue on the second half of the season for the UpperEdge Baadteshop Superspeedway Series.